Let's move over to wide receiver, Joe. Both of us pick Luther Burden III to win the Biletnikoff next season. Your thoughts on Burden?
Yeah, it almost feels too easy. You know, like I was thinking about this and I was trying to come up with like a completely different guy. I'm like, let's get creative with this. Let's come up with somebody. But why wouldn't we go with the player that was the most productive in the best conference last year? Why wouldn't we go with the guy that was unguardable? And I look at a situation, you know, we're talking about players that are required to have big seasons for their teams to win. If Missouri is going to sniff the playoff, and if they're going to be productive on offense, it's going to be because Brady Cook has given him the rock, and he's doing so much after the catch because he is that dynamic of an athlete and that explosive of a playmaker. It feels so easy, man. This is a no-brainer. We've seen the kid burst onto the scene as a true freshman and dominate as a sophomore. Now's the opportunity. I don't know who necessarily else we could totally put, like maybe Emeka Ibuka from Ohio State is the next guy that I would have come up with, but this feels like low-hanging fruit that you kind of have to pick it.
Who's the next Malik Neighbors? Because there's always somebody that comes out of nowhere. Joe, who's the next Devonta Smith? Who is the next Jalen Waddle? Right? Like, I'm just naming guys in the last couple of seasons.
Actually, I'll throw one out there that you're going to hate. I think if there is somebody who has a ridiculous season, Isaiah Bond.
Oh, okay. All right, fair. I don't mind that one.
Who did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say the dude, Chris Marshall.
Mitchell from Notre Dame.
Chris Mitchell.
No.
Notre Dame. No, I could see Isaiah Bond. Interesting you bring up Isaiah Bond if he could be that guy. Joe, he won them the SEC championship game.
He did.
I mean,
absolutely did.
Bro, the catches that he had down the stretch, not only that, fourth and 13 or 4th and 31 doesn't happen without Isaiah Bond. This dude has made very clutch plays. What does he do with Steve Sarkisian? That's a really good point, but look at you growing like a man.
All right. Well, the only reason I really said this is because I watched his film last night. I really liked it.
Bro, that Georgia game, you cannot convince me that the elite plays that he's making down the stretch in the SEC championship game don't win it for him.
The only thing, it's kind of weird because his production wasn't very consistent. You know, like there were a couple
neither was
games.
Jalen Milrose either.
It's crazy to think how much Tommy Rees really handicapped the production for all these guys that are going to be in completely new situations. Like Jalen Milroe could be a Heisman Trophy winner and be one of the best players in the country because he's got Kalen DeBoer now. And Isaiah Bond could be one of the best receivers in the country and go over 1,000 yards because he doesn't have Tommy Rees scheming him the ball. I will say this, though. If you go and watch Bond's film, he is open a lot, and they did not do a good job of scheming him. Any other thoughts, though, on Burden, though? I kind of distracted us here.
Yeah, Luther Burden for me. Joe, why do I keep coming back and looking at Missouri's schedule and be like, man, Luther can go off there. Luther can go off there. Luther can go off there. Do I think he's the best receiver in the game? Yes, actually, I do. However, I think it's a part of the schedule and the guys that he has. Look, Brady Cook could be a very serviceable college quarterback. Mm-hmm. We've seen him be serviceable, especially in these not Georgia games, pretty much, or not against Alabama or anybody like that, which they do play Bama this year. But I just think he's the best wide receiver. I think he had a very quiet 86 catches last year. What do I mean by that? Because they went 10-2, but everything was so wrapped around that Missouri was winning 10 games that the production that Luther Burden had got unshadowed by national media, right? Like it just got overshadowed that well, we knew he was good. God damn, we didn't know he caught 86 passes for 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. Good. That's how I feel about it. I just think he's the best receiver in the game, man, right now.
And I think you bring up the good point because, too, there was such a hyper focus, one, on Marvin Harrison Jr., and then, two, the debate that was being started by folks like yourself that was Malik Neighbors more worthy of being at the Heisman podium? Was he more worthy of winning the Biletnikoff? So there was this And even for the draft, there was this whole debate between the two of them, pinning them against one another, that we were spending all of our attention and energy talking about wide receivers, talking about two of those guys, that Luther Burden, it almost felt like it was being treated as, all right, you're a sophomore. Just wait until next year. We'll talk about you next year. And then now everyone's starting to talk about him.
Well, and because of the draft and Marvin Harrison and his name, again, that's what I'm talking about, Joe. I feel like from a national perspective, he got you knew he was good. But when you looked at how good he was, you're like, God, dude, 86 catches, Joe. 86 catches is ridiculous. By the way, Theo Weiss and those guys are there.
Yeah.
And I think offensively, they're the team that I'm the most interested to see in the SEC.
This video is sponsored by the online fitness training camp presented by Chris Gates Fitness. When I first started talking about Chris, about partnering with our show, not only was I excited to have a fitness sponsor for our pod, but more importantly, when I found out about how he can help people achieve their goals, I was even more bought in, because when the football season starts, it is so tough to stay on top of things and also to be able to enjoy yourself on Saturdays when it's game day. With Chris Gates Fitness's online training camp, you're going to be able to effectively stay focused, consistent, burn fat, build muscle, and do it with a like-minded community of individuals working towards the same thing. On top of this, you're going to be able to get direct coaching from Chris and the ability to ask him questions with an access to a live Q&A where you can get direct personalized support from Chris himself. Don't wait any longer. If you're trying to get in shape during this fall and you want to be able to do it with the right support system, head on over to chrisgatesfitness.com/trainingcamp or click the link in the description. And you need to do it today, because you can get the first month. Personal training is expensive, folks. The first month for only $10 when you use that code RuffinoJoe. Don't wait any longer. Head on over there. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions, with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.